And within the ecosystem, we have two leaders here from the age tech component of the ecosystem. First, Sheila Collins from AARP Innovation Labs, a great HITLAB partner. Sheila, welcome, and thank you again for joining and being a regular on the program each month. And then Victor Wang, the winner of the HITLAB AARP Innovation Labs Social Connections Challenge. Thank you both for joining today, and great to hear from you.
Good morning. Thank you, Stan. Thank you for having us. I am Sheila Collins, Senior Program Advisor at AARP Innovation Labs. At AARP Innovation Labs, our focus is on finding the most disruptive startups who are doing amazing work in the age tech space, and was happy to partner with HITLabs to host the Social Connection Pitch Competition. And today I have the privilege of connecting with Victor Wang, who will share his emerging technology, Care.Coach, and let us know how it's addressing social isolation. So I would like to start off by asking you, Victor, if you could share a little bit about yourself, as well as a fun fact.
Sure, yeah, I've done a lot of things in engineering, and was in the Canadian military, and then ended up at MIT doing telerobotics, human-machine interaction research, and working on a clinical trial, and then started this company, and that's pretty much been my life since then. So, but fun fact, one time I was taking a train across Morocco, and it was the last train of the night, and got off on the wrong stop in the middle of nowhere. It's like desert all around. But luckily, thanks to the kindness of strangers, I spent the night with the train station operators. And I don't speak very good Arabic or French, so we couldn't really communicate with each other, but they shared their tagine with me. We chased a little frog around. Yeah, it was fun.
It sounds like they showed you care, which is awesome.
Exactly, yeah.
During that experience. So talking about care, can you tell us more about Care.Coach? What is it, and how did you get started with it?
Sure, yeah. So Care.Coach is a company. We actually have multiple products, but the one we're kind of most known for is our avatar. And it was because I was basically reflecting upon my life of immigrating out of Taiwan and having one of my grandmothers living by herself, and as a result getting really lonely. And we could see as a family how that affected her motivation levels, and how well she would, take care of herself and do her exercises to recover after a fall, and take care of all the other things she's supposed to do to be healthy. And so I wanted to solve social isolation and loneliness for older adults. And so it's actually this idea of the kindness of strangers and people around the world. People talk about this silver tsunami and caregiver crisis here in the US, but if you were to leverage global resources, you would find that there is no shortage of kind-hearted people who can speak English or Spanish or what have you, and can actually provide this engagement. So we built, through Care.Coach, we built this avatar platform to connect this global supply of intelligent, empathetic people to solve social isolation. And so if you go to www.care.coach, you can see what it looks like. But this avatar unifies this whole team of people into a single persona. So it makes it easier to actually build a relationship with, as opposed to having to relate to 7 or 8 different people, which would be necessary to provide 24/7 coverage.
That sounds awesome. And it sounds like you were inspired by your grandmother, which is a nice way to show your support and the need for it. There's over 53 million caregivers in this country, and each of them have their own circumstances. I wanted to find out, how does Care.Coach give caregivers greater flexibility?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's actually an interesting article, if you Google Wired Care.Coach, that talks about this. It was something that I discovered because it wasn't our original purpose, but it turns out that a lot of family caregivers and caregivers in general, they're talking earlier about caregiver burnout, which is a real thing. And interestingly, our avatar is really helpful for this gentleman with Alzheimer's disease in this article, but they also talk about how the family caregiver, who's the daughter of this person with Alzheimer's disease, she was actually talking about how she finally felt like she had an ally and a care team. It wasn't just her. She wasn't just all alone, and she could actually go out and go shopping and get some groceries and not have to worry that her dad's all alone in the house, because she knows her Care.Coach avatar will give her a call if her dad needs anything. So it's great for just kind of that respite and peace of mind, knowing that there is a companion there 24/7, so you don't have to worry as much.
That's awesome. Thank you. There's an AARP finding that reveals that 48% of working caregivers do not have jobs that allow them to work from home. So can you talk about how your technology and other technology that you've come across helps with remote care?
Yeah, so when it comes to remote care, so actually the company has evolved, where kind of originally it was just a companion type of service to alleviate loneliness. And over the years, we've evolved very much into care delivery and healthcare. So actually our customers are health plans for the most part, like Medicare Advantage plans, for example. And we very much help with remote care delivery. So we actually have an expert system into which we've programmed all of these evidence-based protocols around how to coach somebody to better manage their congestive heart failure, their type 2 diabetes, their COPD, their hypertension, their frailty and falls risk in the home. Like, for example, we'll have the avatar talk somebody through some exercises from something called the Otago program, which is an evidence-based strength and balance exercise program. We do seated exercises and helps prevent the risk of falls in the home. So we actually program that into the avatar to coach people through that, and kind of leverage the capabilities of any family caregivers that may or may not be available, any care managers that may or may not have time. You can then add the avatar to the care team essentially, and even when the traditional care team isn't available, you have this avatar that is kind of in a fun, engaging, personable way talking this older adult through an exercise, or if they have COPD, we might be talking them through like a pursed breathing exercise, or how to make sure they're using their long-acting inhaler or short-acting inhaler properly, and all the things that unfortunately as people get older we need to do to take care of our health, especially if there's multiple chronic conditions and so on.
Yeah, thank you. It sounds like this solution really thinks about all of the needs that an individual has, an older adult may have, and it helps really support them throughout those needs. And so that sounds awesome. The pandemic has thrusted many people into the caregiving world. Can you talk about how caregiving has changed, especially during the pandemic, and from the time that you started your company?
Yeah, it's definitely not great that people have to worry about infecting their loved ones, and a lot of people are. I mean, I was gonna go visit my parents, bought the tickets and everything, and then oh, gotta cancel the trip. So
where are your parents located, Victor?
They're in Canada,
Okay.
Richmond, BC, if you're familiar with the Vancouver area. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely kind of throws a kink in plans. So actually, one of the things that our company has helped is it's particularly problematic when this, let's say, older adult doesn't have the technology skills, or like doesn't have Wi-Fi set up properly in the home, or forgot the password on their Wi-Fi or whatever. Like, it was very difficult for our family to get on a video call with my grandmother. And so actually, our core product has always been this avatar, but it turned out that during the pandemic, a lot of our health plan customers told us, hey, we have actually a really basic problem right now, is we have some of these telemedicine tools, there's a ton of them, mass consumer telemedicine tools, but it turns out there's a segment of our population that just, they're not set up or don't have the skills to use them properly. And it turns out UCSF published a report showing that number of people is about 13 million older Americans do not have the tech skills or setup in the home to take advantage of any of these mass consumer forms of telemedicine. And so we took this hardware device that we actually built for our Avatar product. So we have a facility that we call the Hospitality Hub in Kansas, and we actually manufacture our own devices and send them out. So they have a built-in internet connection, super easy to use. You can't really mess it up. And so we built this device platform for our avatar just to make the user experience ideal for anybody. And we realized that was also the missing piece for telemedicine and video visits. We launched a new product during COVID, and our customers really love it for connecting social workers, nurses, and so on. But to your point, Sheila, family members are also using it. So the health plan will actually loop in a family caregiver and say, hey, your loved one has this new service, Care.Coach video visits. So now you can talk to your loved one face to face, and they don't even have to go up and like figure out how to answer the call or connect or anything. The device running the avatar also runs like a super simple, like you don't even have to touch any buttons, video visit solution. So
we need more Victor Wangs in the world. You saw a need, you created something. You saw another need, you created another solution out there. I want to talk about age tech solutions and other opportunities for those who may be interested in this space. What do you think is not being addressed aside from those who are not connected to Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I think a lot of things are being addressed in their own ways, but I think some of the things that are under recognized are, for example, I think AI is a little oversold these days. And so, there's a lot of conversational agents, chatbots, socially assistive robots. And in fact, we're an awardee on a large National Institute on Aging under the NIH award, under which we've done a lot of R&D using the unique data that we get from talking with our older adults. And it turns out, and the National Institute of Aging recognized this when they gave us the funding, all these agents out there, they're using these like automatic speech recognition systems from big tech companies where the error rate on speech recognition actually goes up as people get older. In the same way that there's ethnic bias in like facial recognition models and things like that, there's age bias in voice recognition models and conversational automation models. And so it turns out that the data that Care.Coach gathers by talking with all our older adults every day about, we pray with people, we reminisce about people's grandkids, we get them to take their medications, we talk them through their PT exercises, we talk with our clients about all sorts of things. And it turns out this data is so valuable, we've actually been able to build our own speech recognition engine that for our specific use case, so for older adults and for processing the truly natural responses to these healthcare prompts, we actually beat the speech recognition performance of Google and Microsoft and Amazon.
Awesome.
We benchmarked against their cloud platforms. So that's something that we're trying to help with. But I think in general, something that could use more attention is making sure our cutting edge technologies like speech automation, artificial intelligence, is actually adapted to the needs of an older population and adapted to the needs of people who might not be the ones generating all the training data on like, Alexa, buy me more tissue paper, or, Google, look up this movie. That's where all the data comes from. So that'll bias how the engines work. So we're trying to expand technology to solve for the age bias.
Got it. Thank you. My Alexa heard you and she's talking to me now. I'm like,
oh, okay.
Oh, you. One last thing. So we know that the forecast for 2034 is that there's going to be more people over 50 than under 18. What advice would you give to founders who are considering getting into the longevity space?
Yeah, get into it. Just get started. I remember when I started this company, I was kind of like, I don't know, it's got a little bit trepidation. But then what you have to do is just tell all your friends and family, I'm starting this company. I'm the founder and CEO of this company. I'm going to make it happen. This is our mission. This is the pitch. What do you think? And then you can't go back because then you'll just lose face if you're like, no, I'm just going to go get a job. You just tell everybody that you're starting a company. You're the founder and CEO. And then peer pressure will cause you to become successful.
That's it. That's it. Thank you so much, Victor. It was great talking to you. Thank you for Care.Coach. Thank you for bringing new solutions to the age tech space. We need them.
My pleasure. Thanks, Sheila.
That's super. And Sheila, thank you for just a tremendous interview and for eliciting that really interesting information. Victor was in the military in Canada. That's impressive. And then the IT guy, you don't see many of those folks. That's wonderful. Well, thank you both. A big round of applause from everybody watching from around the world. And again, for those of you who are watching from around the world, we do keep the chat box open. Not very many folks do that in this kind of virtual conference world. So please do add in your LinkedIn, get to know folks, and use this as a networking opportunity. I just added mine. I'd love to meet you all. And certainly, we're always looking for new speakers and interesting insights from folks. So if you have an interest in presenting at a HITLAB meeting in the future, whether it's a Women's Health Tech Wednesday, one of our seminars, or of course, our symposia, or the summit that we have at the end of the year that really does present all the best evidence for digital health adoption around the world, please do let us know. Either contact myself or Jerry, or one of the HITLAB team members, and we'd love to get you involved.